what is going on? How y'all doing out there in Uncle Steve's Lounge? Good to see y'all today on this Monday afternoon. Great day. Well, steamy day. I shouldn't even say it. Great day. A little steamy, a little windy, actually, too. The storms coming in and out of this area and stuff. Hope everyone was safe. No, our power went out for a brief minute yesterday. Some strong storms came in, but we are here and we are ready to discuss our Atlanta Falcons per usual on the Monday Minutia. Glad y'all could join me today. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, Uncle Steve's Lounge. Very simple. Go to the little part where the address is, where the name of today, predicting the over-under part. You'll see a little thing that says subscribe. Push subscribe. If you don't do that and you've already subscribed, which I appreciate, make sure y'all push the like button for me. That like button gets things out there and rolling in the universe. Some of the things y'all be saying, man, Uncle Steve, man, he talking the truth. Or if you saying, Uncle Steve full of poop. Either way it goes, just to get the information out there, man, it's a discussion. It's a Falcon discussion amongst Falcon fans. We're excited going into the 2023 season. And we just got so much built up and ready to let out for this season to get started. And this is just one of the things, and I have to give credit to my my brother-in-arms, Tidy Jones, who has the Atlanta Bird Gang YouTube channel. Make sure y'all check that out. Go over there and subscribe to that channel. He came out with something a few weeks ago, where he was giving kind of a minor, similar to what I'm going to do today, but I'm going to probably go a little bit more in depth, over under on some of the players and what they are expected to do this year for the Falcons this season. So I said to myself, what better way to kick off a Monday going into mini camps? A lot of teams going into mini camps starting tomorrow, and just talk about it, man. We're about a month or so away from preseason, a month plus away from the preseason, man. So it's time to start getting those predictions together. For those of you who dabble in the fantasy football world, I know I do, just opinions that you might have. So I wanted to just bounce some stuff off you all just to see how we were feeling about the potential of our Atlanta Falcons players and team going into the 2023 season. Before I do that, as I always do, let me jump into the chat, see how y'all doing. John Brooks, as always, I am first. Hit that like button. What's up, Uncle Falcons? Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Dexter Owens is in the house. What's up, Dex? Says, what's going on, fam? Let's talk about this 12-5 season. I can do that. We can talk about this 12-5 season. I'm down like 5 flat tires. I know I said 5. John says, Uncle, I have a question. Do you think the Falcons should go after Hunter from the Vikings? I mean, any team would try to go after him for his pure talent. But I think, as with most guys now, to be honest with you, at this stage in the free agent game, folks are the only reason folks are out here right now because they probably want money, man. And I just don't think, I know we still got close to 10 million. I think it's about 9 something. And as far as our cap is concerned, but I would love to have him. But I just think we got to have him at our number. Now, if he came in and told the Falcons that he can come in for about $4 or $5 million, you might want to try that and see how it fits. But I just don't think he's going to come at that price tag. It would be a nice addition, but just not sure if that's what we're going to be looking at. John, also, he's also talking to Dex to say, I think we're going to win a lot more this season, depending on how Desmond Ridder plays this year. That's fair. False start in the house. What's going on, my brother? Good to see you now. Yeah, David Starks is in here. What's up, David? Joining us on Facebook, man. What's going on? Heard that before is in the house. What's up? What's up to you? Good to see y'all on a Monday. My brother Winston is in the house. What is going on? Heard that before. Says, I'm hyped about this season, brother. You should be. Y'all should be hyped about the season. I more than a season since 16 going into 17, this is probably the most excited I've been about our Falcons. And again, folks, it doesn't take me long to get excited about Falcons, even if I know we're going into rather a rebuilding season, a season that might be kind of tough. I'm always going to self-hype myself for the Falcons. But as far as expectations are concerned, this is a year that you better pay attention. This is not a year for you to jump on in game 6, jump on in game 7. This is where you need to start thinking about what we're about to do for the whole totality of 2023. I think it's going to be great. Lisa in the house. What's going on, Lisa? Good to see you here. My brother Greg in the house from Greg's Custom Kicks. What is going on, Greg? He said, nah, not Falcons related, not sports related. What's up, Can I have your take on FS1 buying out Shannon Sharp's contract? I mean, it's big news because I know Shannon has a nice following. Club Shay Shay has taken off as far as his podcast is concerned. And I know the little brouhaha him and Skip had earlier this year probably didn't help things. But I think, Shannon is probably at a point, especially when he started the podcast, where he's like, oh, man, you know what? I might not need this type of exposure anymore. And what Fox Sports probably does, it probably kind of corners him where he can't do some of the content he's meant to do. So I'm not shocked at all about the buyout, but he's not hurting. I mean, this is no sad story. I would be shocked if he came to ESPN. I think ESPN, who's already going through a lot of layoffs and just picked up Pat McAfee, I'm not sure if he would go there or not. Who knows? But, I'm like so about it. It's not as huge a deal to me as many people are making out of it, but, wish him well, obviously. Heard that before. Say the Atlanta Falcons to the playoffs, calling it now. That's one man calling it out right now. Say, hey, Uncle Steve, who do you think will be on the 53-man roster? Oh, boy. You know what? Talk to me in about another month or so. We're going to have opportunity to go through that as far as the roster. Who's going to make it? Right now, you have close to about 90 folks, 80 to 90 folks that are on the roster. So for me to sit here and try to act like I'm going to pick it right now, I'm not sure. Got a lot of, players, that fringe players, I should say, who are probably battling for special team spots and depth spots and things like that. But I'll get into that more closer towards the preseason when those decisions are made. Biz B in the house. How you doing, man? I'm good to see you joining me today in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Thank you. John Harris, what's up, my brother? He says, I'm carrying Felipe as my emergency quarterback. Yeah, I know we joke a lot about Felipe. But I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that emergency spot. Be, brutally honest. I know we've had him as kind of a side joke recently. But, I mean, Logan Woodside. There's another guy that was out there last week when I went to the first look thing from the Falcons. I didn't even realize he was on the squad. And there was no – I did not see Felipe that particular day. Doesn't mean he wasn't out there, but I didn't see him. So we'll see. My brother Rusty in the house. What's going on, Russ? Russ is still kind of soft at linebacker, in my opinion, but 11-6, 12-5 is realistic, I think. Like I said this morning, though, Steve, I do believe Arthur has a little pressure on him. There are no money, no players get out of jail free cards. I agree with you completely. And Rusty's referring to, I put up a video last night, a little 5-6 minute video about Arthur Smith going into the 2023 season. And I think what I was trying to express, I wasn't trying to give an out for him past 2023, but I was trying to at least say going into 2023, he's had legitimate reason for us not to say he shouldn't have made it to this season. That really was my overriding point. And I put up all of the past head coaches in Atlanta Falcons history. Folks, do y'all realize in the 60-plus year history of 50-plus year history of this franchise, we've only had 4 coaches with winning records. Only 4. So that speaks a lot about this franchise. So no excuses. I was just saying going into this season, I'll give him a small pass, but I tell you what, he can't have a 2-4 start, 1-5 start. He can't have these slow starts that we've had for the last couple of years. Can't do that. Not at all. That's my classmate Toy. What's going on, brother? Good to see you in the house. Thank you for joining us on Uncle Steve's Lounge. Miss Julie is in the house. Hey, Miss Julie. Good to see you. Glad to have you joining us in here. David says Stephen A has asked for Shannon Sharpe. That would be a mistake to me. If you ask me, Stephen A is too big of a personality. Yes, bigger than Shannon Sharpe. And I don't think he would. Shannon just came off a platform where he was going against people who talk about the game and haven't played the game. And as much as we want to make it as simple as black athlete, white journalist, which is the same thing that Stephen A did to Skip, I think there's still going to be a little bit of head knocking between Stephen, I know it all, A. Smith, and Shannon, I played the game. I know what it is to be an athlete, champion, football player. And we could say all the kumbaya stuff while they're not signed together, but I think it would be career suicide for Shannon to go on that show because he will get morphed out. I almost kind of compare it, Stephen A. and Max Kellerman. I know Max Kellerman, dabbled around in amateur stuff in boxing and stuff like that, but clearly was a personality. Max's personality, which was not as huge as Stephen A, but you saw the challenges that Stephen A had going against someone who brought the same energy and brought the same knowledge, and in some cases even more knowledge than Stephen A. I think his ego is not gonna be able to take that, in my opinion. Greg says 12-5, 11-6 season at bound for Atlanta. I hear you, brother. RJ Falcons in the house. What's going on? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Facebook user, what's going on? Says, feeling good about my Falcons. We're going to rise up. Absolutely. I believe we are as well. That's my big brother, James. How you doing, James? I be seeing you out there partying, man. I wish I had the lifestyle you had, my friend. I could run out there with you, but it's too much life here going on. So you keep enjoying that life and partying and repping us out there. Say, Uncle Steve, I hear the top 10 teams Vegas predict to win the Super Bowl, and the Falcons is not one of them. What are they smoking? Well, James, we gotta make them believe in us. And look, if I'm on the outside looking in, the same talk that we're doing here in Atlanta is the same talk they're doing in multiple, Carolina, Detroit. Inside their circle of fans, they're telling everybody, why are we getting disrespected? We got a nice roster. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. But you know why they talk about the Kansas Cities and the Dallases as of late? And the Baltimores and the Pittsburghs and the Buffaloes and stuff like that? Because there's a history or there's a regularity of winning. And when you have that, then people pay attention. See, we were, and I can't believe I'm saying this, in that early part of the Matt Ryan tenure from 2008 to 2012, we almost got spoiled, believe it or not, by 2011 and 2012. Because guess what? Mike Smith had us going to the playoffs every year except 2009. And the expectation, even though we didn't make it in 2009, we still had a winning record. So the expectation was we were a competitive team. People didn't want to believe it. The first year, second year, even the third year, we went 13-3, but we got beat by Green Bay, so people still didn't believe in us. So as much as I want to go on the soapbox and tell everybody, believe in the Falcons, we for real, until it's put on paper and until you get that 3-0 record, 4-1 record, 6-2 record, playing meaningful games in December. And I'm not talking about playing games where, you're going to get eliminated. I'm talking about playing games where you're fighting for playoff seeds. Until you get into that type of, going on, people are always gonna question your team, and I think that's where Atlanta is right now. It's not a knock against the fan base. Fan base is gonna be there for us no matter what. We're gonna be there, but heard that before. It says if Arthur Smith loses his job, Uncle Steve, you could be head coach. I wish I could, brother. Let me. Hey, look, just to make sure, let me retire from my job first, and then get these benefits. Then I'll be glad to get a whistle and jump on there and talk to you. Greg says Steven and Shannon is definitely not a good idea. I just don't see that happening. I really don't. Norman, what's going on, man? Good to see you in the house. Thank you. And David says 10-7, mandatory. It better be. I'm telling you that right now. It better be. So this is what we're going to do, y'all. We're going to play a little game, and we'll give each one maybe about a minute's worth of talk and stuff like that. So if you look at the bottom, this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about, and again, thank you all for liking the video, and thank you all for watching us today on YouTube and on Facebook. Thank you so much. We're predicting the over-under for Falcon players and some team stats for 2023. So I wanted to start on the defensive end of things, and then we'll go back over and hear what you all have to say for that. But from the defensive side, obviously we've had some shortcomings over the last couple of years, too many to name, but we have brought in an influx of veterans and in some cases, some hopefully game-changing players. One of those game-changing players is Jesse Bates. Jesse Bates comes in from Cincinnati, had a really good year last year. And from a safety standpoint, definitely nice hitter and got a couple of interceptions last year. So that's something that's to be expected. For my over-under, and for those of you who don't know what over-under is, let me explain it to you. If you go to Vegas and play a little bit, the over-under is the number that Vegas sets for you. For example, Atlanta, hypothetically, they're saying Atlanta's going to win 7 games, 8 games. So if they say Atlanta wins 7 games, you take the over, you're saying that Atlanta's going to win over 8 games. If you take the under, that means you're saying Atlanta's going to win less than 7 games. There's a number put on there. You win if you say whether it's over or whether it's under. Simple as that, without getting into all the other stuff. So that's what we're going to do with some of these stats and some of these players. So let's go to the first one, and that's going to be Jesse Bates. And I want to hear what you all think of the over-under on Jesse Bates going into 2023. And I'm putting the number kind of where I think they're going to be. You guys tell me, guys and gals, tell me whether you think this is right about, whether it should be over, whether it should be under, or even if you think it's right on the money, let me know if that's. So I'm saying Jesse Bates, who his highest interception total was actually last year in 2022, where he got 4 interceptions. I think he's able to come in here. We haven't seen a safety have that much production in the middle since maybe Ricardo Allen, Thomas Deku put up some numbers. I'm not saying he was the greatest, but he was able to benefit from roaming the middle a little bit. So Jesse, I'm going to put the over-under at 4. What do y'all think about Jesse Bates over-under at 4? And while we're doing that, I'm going to go to a couple more comments over here. Facebook user says, good evening, we have a monster squad on both sides of the ball. Can't wait to see them all together. That makes 2 of us. John Harris says, I'll say this. Skip and Shannon need a ref between them, not only on Molly Karam, to help that ref being able to say, this is my show, that has to be off the table. Can't be said. Well, good luck with that, because with those egos, they won't be able to do that. Heard that before. It says, I like Ryan Nielsen and Jerry Gray. Those are great moves, in my opinion, as well. I think that's going to be good for them. Greg says, we haven't had a winning season since 16-17. Nobody has faith in Atlanta, but Atlanta fans, despite good roster moves, we have to show outside entities outside the fan base, we can ball and be a winning franchise. It's just plain and simple as that. It's not even, we're not trying to hype ourselves up, just like Greg says. Nobody's going to pay attention to us until we win on a consistent basis. Nobody's going to put money on us until that point. All right, we getting into the over-unders, and Greg, he says over for Bates. He thinks he's going to have over 4 interceptions. Rusty says 4 is just about right. David, another one, says 4 is just about right. Norman, KZ, I forgot about KZ. You know why I forgot about KZ? Because that was that throwaway season where he kind of came in when Rico went out and what's my buddy's name? Trufant went out, and the whole defense was decimated, and KZ came in there and took advantage of it and got a lot of interceptions that year. Yeah, I did forget about that year. You're absolutely correct. Norman says, I think that is right on the money for Bates, 4. So that's another good one. Facebook user says Bates break even. That's actually, okay. So maybe I'm right on point with that. Julie says over. She thinks he's going to get more than 4 interceptions. That's good. That's optimism at its best, which is great. Anthony said, I'm sticking with 4. So, okay. So, all right, that makes me feel a little good. At least I might be on to something as far as the numbers there. Okay, we're going to go over to our cornerback position. Now, keep in mind, since AJ has been here, especially the second year, people didn't throw at him that often. So he was having such a good year his sophomore year that folks probably didn't do a lot in that direction. So he didn't maybe have as many opportunities. Last year, they went at him a little bit. And keeping in mind, he was hurt. So a lot of folks wanted to try him. Believe me, they're going to try him again this coming season. So I'm going to start the number right there again. I stick with 4. And the only reason it probably seems a little low, because I just don't think if they're going to test anybody, they'll probably test Okudah, what could be Clark Phillips' side. I could see them testing that side more than AJ, but I'll put AJ's number at 4 just for craps and giggles. What do y'all think about AJ's number? I'm going to go back in here. Greg does say 5 for Bates. Winston says he has Bates going for 6. And then Facebook, okay, now we got Facebook. You says, hey, Unc, I'm going with under 4 for Terrell and Bates. That's fair. Fair enough. Anthony says over. He wants redemption after last season. And trust me, y'all, by AJ's standards, it wasn't a great season. And that was prior to him getting hurt, if you want to keep it real. So, Rusty says AJ's not a ball hawk by nature, but you don't have to be a good you don't have to be a good DB. That's very good, but under 4. One of Deion Sanders' best years he had, I think he only had 3 because, again, nobody was throwing the ball in that direction. Norman says under for AJ. Winston says under for AJ at 3. Austin, what's going on? Good to see you in the house, brother. Good. Thank you for joining us here on Uncle Steve's Lounge. We're doing the over and under for certain players, Austin. Right now, we're on AJ, Terrell, and how many interceptions. I put the number at 4. Are we going over? Are we going under? David says under. AJ doesn't have good hands, and that could be something too. You're right. Tracy says under. They won't throw his way unless they feel like it's a mismatch. I can believe that. Miss B says under for AJ, so that's okay. Miss Julie says she thinks that's about right for AJ. 4 is the number that we're given. Greg comes in and says under 3 for AJ. Nobody really throws his side. AJ has a lot of pass breakups. Fair enough. Facebook user says AJ will have help now. He will get 5. I would think the help would be a little different, though. If he has the help, I still don't think they're going to go in his direction. I understand the thought process, though. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going against it. But, yeah, I'd say, that's cool. Austin says he likes the over for AJ. So another over for AJ. So we kind of going right down the middle a little bit. Greg says 3 interceptions for AJ. Ballhead Falcon fan. And folks, that's not me on a different moniker. This is another guy, Ballhead Falcon fan. What's going on? Glad to have you in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Thanks so much. He says the over for AJ. So he thinks he's going to get at least 5. So that's cool. Austin says our defensive line will allow our corners to get a lot of crazy throws. And thank you, Austin, for transitioning us into that defensive line, because the next one I'm going to have is one of the stalwarts on that defensive line. As we were just talking about AJ finally getting help, so has Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett has finally got some help on that defensive line with Calais Campbell, but David Onyemata, not only bringing back Taquan Graham and just some more edge people, the Bud Duprees and folks like that. Now we're going to have a little bit of help as far as getting these guys, rolling as far as this team is concerned. Of course, somebody's going to call as soon as we do this. Sorry, y'all. So we're going to have Grady Jarrett, and we're going to put Grady Jarrett down for 5 sacks. So 5 sacks for Grady. And what's the over-under for that? I think that's a good number. Grady was a one-man wrecking crew last year, just didn't have any help. Now that he has some help, what do we think? Grady Jarrett, over-under at 5. At 5. Rusty says Grady's going to have a monster year. Screenshot this. 9 sacks for Grady, for a defensive lineman. Interior. It's a shame it took the Falcons 9 years to get this man some help. Yeah, that is. It is. Ballhead Falcons fan says, what's up? I hope all is well with you too, my brother. Good to have you in the house. Tracy says, over. If the help works, it should allow him to do his thing without being doubled all season. And that's the key right there. If he's one-on-one, he will beat his normal person one-on-one all day. So I hear you on that. David says over just by a hair, 6, maybe 7. And I say the same thing. I mean, look, if your interior is getting a rush, which has been the Falcons' bugaboo because we haven't quite figured out that left guard center position prior to this year. Hopefully we have now. That if Grady was playing against the Falcons, like say for an NFC South team, he probably have 4 sacks a year. So let's hope that reverses this year and he can get some of that love. Facebook user says he thinks Grady will get 7 or more. I like that. Miss B goes with the over for Grady. And Miss Julie goes for the over for Grady. So a lot of people thinking Grady is going to have a breakout year. I feel so, more than any current player on the team, you want everyone to win. Don't get me wrong. We're going for a team. But if it's anybody that I have a special little thing that I say, let's get him one more run. And that's Grady. Because Grady has been here through this rough patch. The last Mohican from the Super Bowl roster. So, him and Jake Matthews, of course. But let's get one more for the big fella. Because the big fella has showed up even if the team as a whole did not have success. So, yeah, I'm all for Grady getting these numbers. Anthony says we're about to witness 16-17 Grady this year. I hope so. I hope we do get that guy. Now, keeping in mind Grady about 6 years older. So but he looks in good shape. When I saw him at the practice the other day, he looked like he's ready to roll, man. Absolutely. Greg says over 5 for Jarrett. Opposing offenses can't double or chip everyone on our defense. That's true. With Calais Campbell coming in there and giving a man some breather oxygen, with Onyemata being able to do some stuff inside. And let's not forget, again, Taquan Graham, now that he's healthy, and I was excited to see those guys in the first look practice last week too. You can't judge a lot in t-shirts and shorts, but just the quickness that it looked like those guys have. Big dudes with quickness, not little small guys, big guys with quickness. Like Rusty was talking about the linebacker core. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that all pans out. The growth of Troy Anderson. Is Caden Ellis as advertised? Those type of things do worry you. But yeah, I still think Grady's going to have a good year. Winston says over for Grady at 7.5. Oh, you're saying he's going to get 7. Now, the overs are not Vegas, though, Winston. I'm making these up. So, but I'm saying that's where his sack is. I'm not going by the Vegas way. Twan says, I think Grady will have about 7 to 9 sacks, especially if the help really works out. A lot of people on top of that. I like that. Rusty says, Grady might have won MVP if we won the Super Bowl. That man was possessed that night. You know, I keep thinking back to that. A lot of people talk about that particular day, and obviously we talk about it ad nauseum because of the outcome. But yes, I do believe that he was either going to be MVP or would have been a co-MVP had things worked our way, because he absolutely took care of business in that first half. Dave, what's going on, man? Said got to neutralize the opposing team's run game, which theoretically gives the Falcons more pass rush opportunities. Absolutely agree with that, sir. Austin says over on Grady, he has something to prove. He'll give you 10. First double-digit sack year. Finally has a rotation of help from the line and secondary being better. I am all over that. Facebook users also say 97 is on the plateau, but it's still a good player. 5 is a good number for an interior guy at any age. I agree 100%. So it looks like a lot of people thinking Grady going over with the 5. This is a number when we start talking about it, and it's going to include Grady. With the influx of folks like Jesse Bates, Jeff Okudah, David Onyemata, Calais Campbell, Bud Dupree, now this team seems to be more equipped to put pressure on the quarterback. We have to look ourselves in the mirror and say we have not had that type of rush. So from this point, I went back and I looked at the 2022 team stats, and the 16th ranked team in sacks, which is dead middle, was the Los Angeles Chargers. Surprisingly enough, with Bosa, they only had 40 sacks, but that's middle of the road. So from your standpoint, do you think the Falcons will have 40 sacks as a team? Keep in mind, we only had 21 last year, but this is an entirely different group, entirely different coaching staff on the defensive side. Do you think the Falcons can get 40 sacks? And again, that's not an astronomical number because the number 16 team had it last year. So if you want to be in that conversation with some of the, middle of the road defenses or above, that's probably where you're going to be with sacks. That was 40. That was the number 16 team. So I say let's put that line at 40. Again, thank you. I see a lot of the talk inside the chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, y'all. Like the video for me so we can get the stuff out there. And if you haven't had an opportunity to check out our video, I got another video with my brother, Big Low Country Sports. We did an interview at the stadium last week for the first look. Just got a chance to post that as a singular video. Check it out. Just having some fun there in the dome. But y'all make sure y'all like the video if you get a chance. Dave says, I think Zach Harrison could be a bit of a factor. I'm going to tell you what, and I kind of forgot about Zach Harrison. That could be a move that pays dividends. Keep forgetting about the young cat out of Ohio State. Maybe he's going to be that guy that can make a difference on the defense. Maybe he can contribute to that possible 40 sack plateau. We got to put pressure on folks, man. We got to, no doubt. Heard that before. Says, I think they can get 200 sacks. Look, I wish we could too. Look, 200 sacks is cool as long as we win the game. Remember last year, Philadelphia led the league with all those sacks, and when it came down to the game that counted the most, Patrick Mahomes came out pretty clean. So we'll see. Winston says 43 sacks on the year, changing my prediction from 35 a couple of months ago. Okay, I hear you, brother. I hear you. That's what I'm talking about. Let me get in here. Ballhead Falcon fan says, are you going to any more open OTAs and camps? Yes, I will be. And I will be, I'll definitely do a little bit of filming what I can, not of them, but of me there and talking about stuff that's going on. But yes, I do plan to make a couple this year. I'm kind of rolling solo this year. My son's getting ready to head off to college here in a little bit, so I won't have my road dog with me, but I will try my best to move on and do my thing and give you all some insight on what's going on with these Falcons. David says over, but I don't think anyone has double-digit sacks. It'll be a collaboration because we're going to throw bodies at offensive lines. I can see that. I can see. I don't mind. At the end of the day, I don't need the one superstar to get 15 and a half. See 2016 with our buddy Vic Beasley. As long as it's spread across, what Philly did last year was amazing. And yes, they came a field goal short, but what they did was amazing as a team. That defensive pressure that you put on teams, that's how you start to win. So from that standpoint, I really think that the Falcons can really do some damage if we spread the wealth a little bit, Dave. You're right on point. What's going on, Facebook user? Good to see you in the house. Thank you for joining us here on Uncle Steve's Lounge. Appreciate you. Tracy says, I don't know about this one. If we keep all the people we think are good, our defense should be in the top 5. And we should get to that 40 number. And you know, that 40 number, man, it's not exactly easy to attain. I know we've been putrid as far as sacks are concerned. And that 21 number is just ridiculous. The worst teams in the NFL get more than 21. So I'm glad that they addressed that. And going forward, it looks like that's what we're going to be doing, keying on pressure. And I'm telling y'all, man, don't underestimate this addition of Ryan Nielsen to this coaching staff, because that same crap that we got mad about with New Orleans when they would come in here and put mounds and mounds of pressure on us since 2017, that was the cat bringing the pressure. He was the guy doing that. So with him at the helm, I do feel like it's going to be a different era. It's going to be something different that we're doing. So I like the thought of over 40. Rusty says we should throw whatever cap we have left at Hunter. That man is a monster. Hunter, Grady, Alminyata, and Campbell. Sheesh, good games lead. Well, listen, I said it at the beginning. You probably missed it when I talked about it, Rusty. He is a great talent. But I'm not throwing the money bag at him. He's not. There is no free agent left that we should be throwing whatever money at. It's a reason why you're still a free agent on June 13th. If you were that good, you'd probably already be signed. So I disagree to a certain extent. Now, if he came in and did one of those kind of deals that we do, $2 million signing bonus, incentives $3 million, and then that second year not promised, something like that, then maybe. But I just can't throw the whole bag at him. He is talented. I'm not denying that. But if you're not on a team right now, you're not a double-digit $1 million player. Unless it's a special circumstance. I'm not talking about franchise players. I'm just trying to think who's out there right now that could command that much money. Hunter's not trying to come here for $5 million. And that's probably where I would top off with him. Though he would be worth it, but I don't see it. Dave says, I've been a bit concerned with Coach Smith this offseason. He sounds like a different person. I need the honorary coach. Hold on. Dave, you know why? Because he's happy he finally got a team, man. Dude, If you had to come to work every day and you had to be, they told you to do the job with equipment that wasn't up to snuff, equipment that wasn't updated, and things that weren't maybe something on your computer that's not up to the optimal, like you don't have the best version of it, you would be pissed off too. And I think that's what we've been getting from Arthur Smith. I think Arthur Smith has been waiting so long to say it. You know what he wants to say in those press conferences? Okay, y'all, for real. Y'all see this team we got, right? Y'all see I got rookies and first and second year players starting for me when they haven't had any experience, right? Y'all see this. Y'all saw the salary cap for 2019 and 20 before I got the team, right? Y'all saw that, right? That's what he wants to say. But you can't say that and you can't make excuses as a head coach. I just think he's happy. I'm going to tell you what, too, Dave, on that same note, he actually looked like he's been working out a little bit. He looks a smidge slimmer. I mean, not that that should make you happy to, I mean, not that that should mean anything, but it's just kind of funny. But I do see the same thing you do. He does look a little more like, yeah. And maybe he has a coaching staff that he can trust. I know he worked with Dean Pease before and he brought it. But listen, you brought Dean Pease back from retirement. Dean Pease was there to help in the interim. Dean Pease was not there as a long-term answer. So now you got somebody in there that's on the up when you start talking about defensive coordinators. Ryan Nielsen is the guy that was on this track. He wasn't trying to share a DC job. For what? He's probably on track to try to be a head coach here pretty soon. So he's bringing somebody in there with that mentality to come into this franchise. So I think, I think that's a good thing. But I do see what you're saying, for real. Eric in the house, what's going on, my brother? Good to see you. My brother Sean is in the house. How you doing, sir? Glad to have y'all here on Facebook, joining us here in Uncle Steve's Lounge. We appreciate it. Winston said Philly had 77 sacks and couldn't get a single sack in the big game. Absolutely. But they got there. I mean, it's no excuse, but they got there. Austin says, we just need those timely sacks and situational times. Uncle Steve, you ain't never lied. You ain't never lied. Those days of the third string quarterback defeating us, second string quarterbacks beating us, those should be over with. We have a veteran crew and we should be showing it. We should be flexing our muscles this year. Twan says, I have to see that final 53 before I say how many sacks we'll have. I have to see who will be our D-line guys. I'm sure we know 5 guys that will definitely make the team, but we signed Bud Dupree as well, and I think we'll get 13 years. Well, I can appreciate you being honest about that. Wait till the end. That's cool. Nothing wrong with that at all. Tracy says, only person I would have thrown a bag at is D-Hop. D-Hop would be close, especially with our wide receiver situation, Tracy. I can kind of see where you're coming from, but I'm you know what? I'm just scary of wide receivers over 30 right now. I just am. I'm just a little scared of it. I'm not ashamed to say. I would love to you would have told me D-Hop come here for 7. Give it to him in a heartbeat. Yeah, I just can't throw a whole lot of money at him. But yes, he would be a candidate for that. Dave says Coach Nielsen and Coach Smith are the same football coach. As a fan, I can see their intensity. The Falcons will probably have Coach Nielsen for a short time. Oh, I believe that. And especially if he's successful. Think about on your resume. You're coming to the Atlanta Falcons with a 21 sack team. If Coach Nielsen can get them to that 40 sack plateau, he's going to be on everybody's list next year to come to be a head coach for their team. I agree with you 100%. Heard that before, said we are looking scary. Absolutely. We are. Dondre in the house. What's going on, Dondre? Heard from you in a minute. Good to see you here, brother. Facebook user says, even to get to 40, you still need one bell cow to get 10 sacks. Not necessarily. I mean, think about what you're spreading out now. Back to Twan's point. You might need to have one guy have 8, 9, maybe. But if you spread 6, let's make the number 6. 6 would be 7 guys. I don't know. We have 7 guys. So maybe say 7. 7 sacks. Do we get more out of Malone this year? Do we get more out of Ebiketie, which I think we will? Do we get some from Bud Dupree? Do we get some blitzes from Caden Ellis? Do we get a safety sack from Jesse Bates, 1 or 2? And then that's not even including Yamada, Grady Jarrett, Calais Campbell. So the young rook we were just talking about from Ohio State. I think you can spread them across without having the 12, 13 sack guy. Now, I'm not going to turn it down, but I think you can have a legitimate defense without that particular guy. I heard that before. I said we look tough on both sides. Yep. Dave says, I agree on dude does look a little spry. He looked spry at the practice last week. That's for sure. Austin says, we need them timely sacks in a situational crunch time, Steve. Situational play. And it's so interesting that folks are harping on that because situational play calling on offense and situational defensive calls on that, things where we set up zones when you didn't really need to be in zone, or a position that you had so many people that looked like they were out of place. Again, not even knowing what play call was made. Just so many times last year that it looked like you still saw people 15 yards off the wide receiver when it was a 3rd and 8. I don't know. Hopefully those things will get cleaned up with Nielsen and with Jerry Gray. Don't forget about that hiring. That's a key hiring, especially for our cornerbacks. Dodre says, I'm still free. Oh, man. Hey, what's up, Scott? How you doing, my friend? Thanks for joining us here on Uncle Steve's Lounge, talking about the over-under. We're going to get back. We're going to go to the offensive side with the next couple of questions we're going to ask. But we were talking about the defense, and the latest one up is we're talking about the over-under on how many sacks the Falcons as a team will get. We were at 40, and we were just chatting it up into some of that. Dave says no to D-Hop. He just wants numbers to justify one last huge contract. And this offense, that would not happen. That's a very legitimate statement. Austin says would rather have more picks than sacks next year. I don't know. Putting pressure on the quarterback usually works hand in hand with interceptions because most of the time the ball isn't coming out like it should be towards the secondary. I think I'd like to see those pressure numbers. It's nice to have the interception numbers up there as a turnover, but I would really like the sack number to improve. How many times did we go through the Mike Smith era when he was talking about how pressures were more important? And, sounds good in theory, but you got to put them guys on the ground. You got to make them feel it. Ask Matt Ryan how he feels about that theory. You got to forget the pressures. You got to put them guys on the ground sometime. Eric says, Dean Pease talking about culture change. Nielsen is the man to make it happen. And I believe that, Eric. And this is no shot at Dean Pease because I think Dean Pease was the guy we needed for the time we had with the talent we had. He served the purpose. He taught the young guys as much as he could. He basically, without saying it, was pretty much talking about the inexperience of the guys and how he really needed some veteran help on that defensive squad. I don't have anything horrible to say about Dean Pease. I'm glad he was there for the interim, but you're right. I think Nielsen is that next guy. Dwayne, what's going on, brother? Say the question is, how much does Campbell have left in the tank? I'm not sure. They talked to him, and he was talking about playing 60% of the snaps. But I truly think Calais Campbell is here to be as similar to a Dwight Freeney type veteran for this team, more than he's here to dominate and get 8 sacks. Now, which would be beautiful if he did, but I think he's here more to be not so much of a coach on the field, but more that veteran, the veteran in the huddle, the veteran on the sidelines, that guy that other people can look up to and say, oh, that guy right there has done it. He's done it right. He's been a great guy off the field. And what better person to learn from than that type of veteran? I don't think he's here to put up monster numbers, but I still think, as to answer your question, think he can give you about 5 sacks this year. I really do. Against a horrible right tackle, a left tackle, he can still give you some. Facebook user says, I think the rookie from Ohio State is a real sleeper. I hope he is. If he can be that guy. Corliss, what's going on, Corliss? How you doing, sir? Good to see you in the house. I appreciate you, my brother. Speaking of my brother, what's going on, brother Joe? He said, did they resign Rashawn Head? No, not yet. And I don't think they are. I think when they signed when they signed Bud Dupree, Joe, I think that was pretty much the writing on the wall. Unless Rashawn going to come for a team-friendly deal. Because, the linebacker, as Rusty was saying earlier, the linebacker position does kind of scare me a little bit just because we're a little youthful there. But, he hasn't re-signed. So we'll see what's going on with that, hopefully. Tracy says, are we going to be running that dumb zone? Are we going back to man coverage? That makes a big difference in our pass rush. You're going to get some different type of coaching of the secondary with Jerry Gray in there. I don't know if you are old enough to remember when he played a little bit. He was a decent player, and he was a good coach at Green Bay when he was coaching up pretty much a no-name secondary up there, and did a pretty decent job. But man, I'm with you, Tracy. If I see that zone, if I see that any semblance to that zone again, I think I'm going to lose my mind. So we'll see. Coach Gray played under Buddy Ryan, so he is aggressive by nature. And I don't think it's a coincidence they aggressive defensive line coach in Ryan Nielsen, aggressive secondary coach in Jerry Gray. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's what they want. Dwayne says if the sack numbers improve, the pick numbers will too. Bingo. That wasn't a no to my man I was talking to earlier. It was just a saying that one will help the other. Picks don't necessarily dictate what the defensive line. Well, scratch that. The pressure can absolutely affect interceptions more than just getting interceptions, having somebody who's supposed to be like the greatest cornerback in the world, because you have so many options. You can do screen passes. You can do other things like that if you have time. I think putting pressure on the quarterback is just good overall for the defense. There's no way to change that. Big John, what's going on, man? Say I'm late. What's happening with you? We talking about the over-unders right now as far as the team is concerned. Getting ready to jump into the offense real quick. Glad to see everybody active, and please jump into the chat. Y'all discuss. That's what we're here for, to talk about things and chop it up with this this team, y'all. Dave says, great point. Pease was the right guy at the right time. And he was. With these guys coming in right now, maybe not. But For the time being, he was. Dondre says, can I ask you a question? How you feel about the Sunday ticket going to the YouTube? Actually, I think it's a good move. For somebody who can truly say the only reason I got DirecTV was because of the Sunday ticket. I know a lot of people complain about the cost. I get it. But you know what? If you're a football fan, one way or the other, just like we talk about people, if you want to go to the games, you pay money to go. If you want a certain seat, you pay money to get that certain seat. Yeah. So if you want wall to wall, in your face all the time, football on your mobile device, then Sunday ticket is it. I love the Sunday ticket package. And I know it's a little bit more expensive on the red zone with the red zone and everything. I think it's like $3.99 for everything. The red zone, the red zone channel, which is probably the most awesome thing ever because that's the one that they keep up with all the games simultaneously as it's going. They have the fantasy zone with that, and then where else can you just watch every game going on? So if you're a football fan, yes. If you're a casual football fan, it's probably a little bit much. Francis, what's going on? Says ready to see the offense in action and defense to be explosive. I concur. I concur with that. I would love to see both of those things happen. They said the 60% thing with Calais is nothing more than a contract fodder. Regardless of how many snaps he gets, he's going to get his ball. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Yeah, he wouldn't have come here and he's kind of too good of a guy right now. Former man of the year, big time veteran. Arthur Blank is gonna contribute to his foundation, stuff like that. Yeah, he's gonna get his money. Heard that before. It says I'd love to have both sacks and pick sixes. Oh, trust me. Wallace in here said, what's going on with your Unc on this Monday? My brother, we are just breaking it down, talking about these Falcons, talking about the over-under for certain numbers on the offense and defense. How you doing, Miss Pam? Good to see you in the house. Thank you for joining us on Uncle Steve's Lounge. We appreciate you. Appreciate you. Rusty says, not re-signing Evans is surprising. He's a true middle linebacker. Ellis, Dupree are 3-4 pass rushers, which is true. They must have faith in Troy and Walker. And look, the difference is too, Rusty. Again, don't underestimate. We're bringing in new coaches too. This is not the same defensive coaching staff that we had for the last 2 years and any holdovers from the Dan Quinn era or anything like that. So we got to remember what we're going to see in 2023 is not, well, hopefully, not what we've seen the last couple of years. John says, Uncle Steve, 1/3 of the podcast quartet. Uncle Steve's lead singer. Yeah, matter of fact, make sure today, when y'all get a chance to, y'all check out my brother Smitty and Berto. Speaking of the other guys, they're going to be on with my brother Tidy, talking about Michael Vick and his opportunity and the possibility of a future induction into the Ring of Honor. So I'll be watching at 8 o'clock. So y'all make sure y'all watching too. Sean in the house. What's going on, Sean? Good to see you, brother. Thank you for joining us up here. My brother Scooter is here. Late, but I'm here, brother. But you here, though. That's all that matters. And so let's get back, since we got a full house in here, let's get back to these offensive numbers. As far as the over-under concern, we'll go by these a little bit because I love talking to y'all about what we got going on. Let's go with the offense first. Offensively, I just picked a couple of key players because, quite honestly, if we went by every single player in their stats, that would be a longer show than normal. So let's start with our buddy Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts, who's coming off, is nowhere else to say it, kind of a disappointing season. I know it was injury. I know it was the inaccurate throwing of Marcus Mariota, but however you put it, the year did not turn out like Kyle wanted it to. I think personally he's going to come back strong and do what he does. So let's put the first over-under number for Kyle Pitts up here. 900 yards receiving for Kyle Pitts. How do y'all feel about Kyle Pitts going over or under for 900 yards? Now, keeping in mind, y'all, remember what kind of offense we had. That's why I chose that number. I know that, oh, man, of course he's going to get 1,000 yards. He's Kyle Pitts, blah, blah, blah. But also remember what this offense is going to look like, especially when you start talking about the three-headed monster back there in the backfield that you had. And speaking of which, man, dang, Avery Williams, man, hate to lose him as far as one of the guys in the backfield, that Swiss Army knife that could return kicks and or punts and do his thing. That's a big loss mentally for the Falcons. I know we'll look at other people to probably start returning kicks and things like that. But yeah, so from a Kyle Pitts standpoint, over under on 900 yards. That's what I'm going. That's an interesting number because there is something telling me that no matter who's in this game, I think Drake London may be the only person that I think may have the potential to get 1,000 yards. I think that tight end position will be spread out with Jonnu Smith. And if you all don't realize who he is, y'all need to go back and check, man. He was actually a pretty good tight end. Just, I guess, New England for surprisingly giving up on tight ends a little earlier than normal. But yeah, that I think he's going to get some good numbers too. It wouldn't shock me if Jonnu got 500 yards or so. But that's what I'm looking at as far as that's concerned. JJ, what's going on? JJ said, what's up, Unc? Big John says the defense is going to hit people in the mouth all season long. The offense is going to put them in the dirt all season long. End of story. Talking about the O-line, D-line. Just do it just do it. Do it. Rusty says 900 is what I said in my head before you put it out. Great minds think alike. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about, Russ. Heard that before. It says with Desmond Ridder as a quarterback, I think Kyle Pitts will get more TDs. I'm getting ready to come to the TD number in a second, just to let you know. David, it says the over dependent on better quarterback play, and that is the key. I'll get to that in a second. JJ says I got the over on Pitts with the 900 yards. Pamela, and she probably heard me, probably put this down before I started talking about it, but you're absolutely right, Pamela. That's my point. With Jonnu Smith being on this team, that's why that's one of the reasons why I put that number at 900. I think he's going to be a factor. I really do. I don't think this is not a scrub. This is not a what's my guy's name that we had? Oh, he's losing my mind right now. This is not a third-tier quarterback. I mean, tight end that we're bringing in. So I do think those numbers will be spread out a little bit. Greg says more touchdowns, less yards for Pitts. I'm going over. And matter of fact, what I'll do before I even go to another comment. So this is what I did. I had, just to show you what I had Kyle Pitts at 900 since everybody's commenting on the touchdowns. So I say for my number, 900 for passes, and I had Kyle Pitts for 6. In my mind, that's a little low. But again, going back to we have another tight end to throw to, some of that might end up getting split up. If Kyle Pitts gets doubled, guess who they're going to throw to on the interior? You know, and we still haven't quite solidified the second wide receiver yet. I understand that. So I'm saying Kyle Pitts, the over-under for receiving yards, 900, for touchdown 6. So let's go back to the chat and get back to that and see where we are. Right here to Austin. Austin says, I want to say over, but I might need to take the under. See, that's Austin, so I'm glad that people are thinking like this because, we as Falcon fans, we want to see 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns and stuff like that. But is this that offense that is made for that? And with a very competent tight end on the other side, this could be kind of interesting to see how this ball is distributed. I really do. Smart Ride in the house. What's going on, man? Says 900 is a high number with multiple tight end sets. Got to say under. That's smart thinking. Hence the name. That's why I thought 900 might be kind of low, but I got nothing negative to say about that. That makes sense. It might be a high number. And again, all of this is not considering injuries and things like that, of course, whatever. But as we are constructed right now, this is definitely a offense that things are going to be spread around. And in a spread around offense, aside of Drake, I just think it's going to be hard to get 1,000 yards. Or 900 in that case. Wallace says, I think he'll be a little under 900 with all the weapons we have now. So, and you know, not that I'm looking for validation or anything like that, and my ego feeds off that, but it is kind of interesting to hear fans not be, what's the word I'm saying, way over the top. Y'all are thinking about this. We have more, Wallace said it, we have different weapons now. So it's not we're going to throw the ball completely to one person and let that person just get volume stats. We have different people, just like the backfield. For all of us that cursed the Bijan Robinson pick, well, guess what? Now you have a backfield that you can actually spare him and go put somebody in there who's just as good and keep things rolling. That's what the good offenses do. That's what the good teams do. They have more than one. As great as Derrick Henry has been for Tennessee, that one-trick pony thing got him to one AFC title game. But you got to spread that thing out, man. You got to. Heard that before. It says Kyle Pitts wants more TDs than touchdowns. He said that out of I believe that. Touchdowns are with that. Listen, you're talking about somebody who only got, even his year with Matt Ryan, we get two touchdowns or one. He didn't do a lot of touchdowns that year. Definitely didn't do anything with Inspector Gadget throwing the ball last year, throwing the ball way over his head. So, yeah, I can believe that. JJ said if Ritter connects with Pitts like he did with Pruitt those last 4 games, they should ball. That's a very good point. You can get to the third string tight end. That should be good. Greg says definitely under. This ain't Madden. Fair point. Scooter says with the ball being spread around, I think 900 is the under. False Start says, dang, I put the notification on and went to the grocery store. I forgot about the lie. Oh, brother, it's all good. It's all good. It's my fault probably because most of the time I come in here late. But I was on time today. Y'all give me some love today. I was finally on time. Finally got myself together. John says under. Rusty says, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in Flowery Branch when KP's contract is up and the convo of whether he gets paid as a tight end or receiver is brought up. It will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see, period. Now, the good thing is he's number 1 pick, so they'll have time. But it will definitely be interesting to see how they treat him coming on. I think he's going to be a tight end, but this is a critical year for him. And his folks, I'm sure his folks are talking to Atlanta saying, hey, listen, y'all kind of hamstringing my boy's career a little bit. We can't go to another team and demand top 5 tight end money and you're getting bottom 20 tight end numbers. Miss Pamela says, without a doubt, it's going to be over. I believe the organization set Ritter up to succeed. That's fair. I can believe that too. Scooter said Ritter would have to throw over 4,000 yards for Pitts to reach 900. And fair point. Fair point. JJ says, I got him right at 6 TDs. David pushes on the 6 TDs. Dondre says 7 TDs, 1,200 yards. Ooh-wee. The Facebook user says over on picks, they have to justify, that draft position. Pitts will definitely be that number 2 guy. They will get the ball to the playmakers. I can believe that. Heard that before. It says, don't forget about Bijan Robinson at wide receiver. So I haven't. Oh, no. And matter of fact, speaking of which, before we go any further, that's my next. Matter of fact, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna since everybody's kind of coming in at one time, which I love, and I can just keep going down the line. So I'm gonna spit these numbers out for the last couple of offensive players, and then you all can comment on the one that you want to. Okay, I'm gonna start with Drake London. Drake London going over or under 1,000 yards. Brilliant point Scooter was making about, hey, Desmond will have to throw a lot of yards to get these type of numbers. But the one thing I will say, I think Drake truly is his guy. So as long as he's in there, I think Drake is going to get his numbers. So that's my over-under for Drake at 1,000. I also have Drake at 6 touchdowns as far as his numbers on here. So if you have a comment on that, please go with that. Tyler Algier, who had an outstanding rookie season, only the second Falcon to rush for 1,000 yards in his rookie season, had a great year. But again, because we're spreading things out, and your number one pick was a running back, you got to think his numbers are going to go down. 800, which I don't know. The way I think we're going to run the ball, I don't think that's that high. Also, keeping in mind, y'all, we play 17 games now, not 16. So that 800 might not be as astronomical as you think. I mean, you only talking, that's less than 50 yards a game to get to 800. And also Tyler Algier, I say his total TDs, so his total touchdowns, running and passing, will be at 8. Now to the rookie, real quick, Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson, and because he's into a kind of a different type of category, because it's obvious they're going to be putting him out in the slot. They're going to be doing a lot of things out of the backfield with him. I'm going to put his total yard number for the year, total yards, passing and rushing and receiving, at 1,500 yards. Now, for those of you who think I'm crazy when I say that, again, that's the one thing I will say. If you pick a running back at number 8 overall in the draft, there is a plan to use him. So you're not going to tell me he's not going to get 500 yards or 500 yards rushing, 500-yard passing. You plan on using him because you thought he was special enough to go in the top 10. So as far as Bijan concerned, yards, 1,500. And as far as touchdowns is concerned, his number is 10. Now, I do think Bijan is going to be the red zone guy. I just think naturally being the bigger back, I think you're going to see a lot of red zone opportunities for him. So this is not a shot. So that's total TDs. That would be running. That would be passing as well. Last but not least, our buddy Desmond Ridder. Again, told y'all before, I'm not going to fall back on it, folks. I'll apologize. I love that Desmond Ridder is on this team. I'm still kind of hoping he can be that guy. I still have reservations. That has nothing to do with who didn't come here and all of that stuff, whether that was the case or not. I just want to make sure he's that guy. I hope he is. And if he is that guy, what is your thought for the numbers he's going to have this first year? Now, keeping in mind, he has an offensive line that's pretty solidified up front. You got a couple of running backs back there who could tote the rock and do all of that. So does Desmond need to hit those astronomical numbers that his predecessor, well, not his predecessor, but our longtime guy, Matt Ryan, was getting? Does he need to have the 9 years over 4,000 yards type thing? I don't think so. And because of the running game, I'm not sure if he's going to be throwing the ball around like that anyway. But I do think as a quarterback who just naturally is going to throw the ball, 3,200 yards is less than 200 yards a game. I do think he'll put up more numbers than Mariota did, but I am going to put it right there, about 3250. That's a weird number, but 3250 for Desmond. That's what I'm going to go for him. And then as far as the over-under on passing touchdowns, I think with the tight end situation as we have it, Drake London being who he is, and, Desmond might run a couple in this year. So I give his passing numbers this year, passing touchdowns, I think he can do 25. That's going to be my over-under. So we'll go back and reclaim. So we'll say Tyler Algier, 800 yards, 8 total touchdowns, meaning rushing and receiving. Bijan Robinson, the Rook, 1,500 yards total yards, and 10 total touchdowns. And Desmond Ridder, QB1, over under at 3,250 yards, and the passing yards at 25. If you need me to repeat it, let me know. But what do you all think? I'm going back to the chat here. Try to remember where I got. I was right around here. Austin says, I say 700 to 800 yards for Pitts, 6 touchdowns. JJ the Great says 900 yards and 6 touchdowns is a Pro Bowl and damn near all pro season for a tight end. So I'd be perfectly fine with that. Brandon D says Kyle Pitts will have at least 5 100-yard games this year, in my opinion. I hope he does. That means things are going well if he has that many 100-yard games. John says 6 is a good number. Talked about touchdowns for him. Austin comes in and says, I honestly think our offense is going to look like Philly's offense. That might be a hot take. Not really a hot take. That's actually a great prognostication because, listen, Philly did the same thing. Miles Sanders and, I'm losing my mind. Who was the other running back that was toting the rock? Y'all help me. The other guy that was toting the rock spread the ball around as far as running the ball is concerned. Hit those tight ends when Gobert was doing his thing. That's what you do. I would love if we could run our offense like Philly. Wallace says Pitts is going to be paid as a tight end and not a receiver. Right? JJ says Drake London, the over on Drake. Heard that before. It says, Drake London is his favorite player out of the bunch. That's true. Pamela says over. That is Ritter's guy. He will not miss him. Scooter says Drake with 1,100 yards, 5 touchdowns. I think he's going to be a little bit more into that. Absolutely. Greg says Drake with the over. Pamela says over for Tyler Algier. This will be your first offense that passes the bonus. That's a good point. Last time I think we had offense like that was when Vic was here. When you had Duckett and Dunn running the ball in that backfield, did a lot of running. Actually, one of the years, Mike Smith, when they had what's my buddy out of Virginia that was still here? Big boy. Snelling and Turner were doing their thing. They had a lot of running going on back then, too. JJ says Tyler yards under, TDs under. And that's fair. Scooter says Bijan 700 yards rushing, 600 yards receiving. Got it. JJ also says the over. Heard that before. It says I believe Bijan Robinson will get a lot of yards this year like Tyler Algier. Pamela says over on Bijan without a doubt. Greg says, I see that 1,500 all purpose. Yeah, that's right on it. Scooter says Tyler 800 yards rushing, 300 yards receiving. JJ says Bijan over for the touchdown. I think he breaks Ridley's rookie TD record. I would hope he does. Brandon D says for Ridder, he thinks 3,600 yards, 29 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Dude, if he has that number right there, not only would he be I don't know. Do they do a most improved player in NFL? Maybe they don't. I don't know. That's Pro Bowl numbers right there. You do 29-9 in the NFC. And keep it in mind, y'all, the NFC, they're only, it's only right now, Jalen Hurts might be the standard in the NFC. All the QBs are in the AFC. So if he does that this year, he might be the Pro Bowl starter with what's left of the Pro Bowl. Miss Pamela says, he will be that guy, London, in the 3-game, 1,000 yards. Absolutely. I'm down with that, Miss Pam. I hear you. JJ says, Ritter's yards over, touchdowns under. Okay. Less than 25 then. Okay. I hear you. I think he's going to spread around. I feel safer with his touchdown numbers because it's not going to be like long, bombs and stuff like that. I think he's going to be able to dink and dunk a lot of those touchdowns to me. Scooter says Caesar Sportsbook had Ritter at 26. Oh, wow. Dude, that's easy money. That's easy money. Mariota, that would be easy money thinking about it. You think about 2,600 yards over 17 games. Let me do my math right quick. 2,600 divided by 17. And to get 2,600, you only need 152 yards a game. Come on, man. You could do that easily. Good bet. You said Caesars? Supposed to be trying to make a trip out there this summer, so I might have to take me a little shopping money there, Scooter. Rusty says Algier under 8, over 10 for Bijan, over 32.50, and under 25 for Dez. Okay, everything I agree with except under 25. I think he's going to shock some people with the touchdowns. I think he's going to spread it out. Smart Ride says, I'm going to say it. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback, but with 216 yards per game, he can get 3,600 yards. And I think that's a thing, Smart Ride, that people don't realize that, 17 games, that make those numbers. You don't have to do as much to get those numbers. 1,000-yard rusher can average under 50 yards to get 1,000 in the NFL season these days. It's not like the good old days. Wallace says Ritter will be over, Drake will be over, and that sounds about right for Bijan. Thank you, sir. Greg, he's going to go with Ritter a tad bit over the 32.50. Scott says Ritter will have a good red zone passing and scoring percentage just because of offensive scheme and the talent in the backfield. That's if Arthur calls a good play. Boy, oh boy. Scott, if I could put a cursor over your if Arthur calls good plays, I would put one of those yellow highlighters right there on that spot. Because, listen, it's all feel good right now with Arthur Smith, but, brother, you got to come through. You got to. I think he is, but you've got to come through. You know it. Shaw says, I totally agree with you all. And remember, we have Huntley, which will also help Desmond. We're going to see what Huntley's status is going to be for the year. There's no way I would imagine he would start the year on the active roster coming back from that Achilles. But he could be ready. He could be ready. Blizzard Mike, what's up? You're talking about Boston Scott. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I knew it was another running back that was playing in there. Yeah, he was one of the rotational guys that was displaying. Actually, he had a better game. Didn't he have a really good game in the playoffs? And they had Miles on the sidelines a couple of times at the end. Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Boston Scott was the guy. And Gainwell, too. Gainwell did well. Yeah, matter of fact, Gainwell was the guy who did more in not the Frisco game. What was the game before Frisco? Giants? Might have been the Giants game that they had that. But thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Heard that before. It says he thinks Bijan could be Rookie of the Year. Without a doubt. Matter of fact, you should be the odds-on favorite because you know he's gonna get the carries. There's no doubt. He's going to get the carries in this offense. Rusty says, I just think when we get inside the 10, Arthur's going to go back to pounding the football, which will take a lot of TDs away from Dez. I think we're going to pound the ball, Rusty, but I don't think we're going to be as putrid as an offense as last year. So I get exactly what you're saying. Inside the 10, you really should be doing nothing but Bijan left, Tyler right, Bijan left. But you still have to have some type of flexibility down there in that red zone. You have an athletic quarterback that can move around in that pocket and be able to hit some guys on the run. It's the one thing I give him credit in the Tampa Bay game last year. I saw him do that twice, one with Mike Cole, and I'm trying to think what was the other pass that he had there too. So, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I hear exactly what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense. Big John Harris says, my question is, if we're accepting dink and dunk from a quarterback, will you pay the $120 million projected to keep him, or will you let him go and start over? Here's the problem. And I hear what you're saying. Daniel Jones last year and I'm about to pull it up, and I'm sorry that I'm doing this last second. After having a couple of kind of pedestrian years, this is what he did last year. These are the numbers for Daniel Jones last year. Daniel Jones had 317 completions, 472 yards, 3,205 yards. He only threw 15 touchdowns and only threw 5 interceptions. Now, keep that in mind when you see what kind of money they gave him last year. So when you start talking about the $35, $40 million quarterback, John, it's here to stay, man. It's here to stay. I'm sorry. And so you got to deal with it. You got to. Let me give a super chat up here, man. Big Low Country Sports. We just had a great time with him and Coach Roney last week at the first look practice, man. Big shout out to my brother in arms out there. He says, what in the world, Bo? Can I get a Superman chat? That will be no. We won't do a Superman chat, but we know what we will do. We will do a special sing-along, and it goes like this. Yeah, you know that's the best I could do. My Lenny Williams. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next time I get a super chat, I'll give you some switch. I used to think about immature things. If you give again, that's what we go. Y'all go check out Big Low Country Sports, man. That dude is fire, man. All his content is knocking it out of the park, man. Just love it, love it, love it. You're welcome. Thank you, Blizzard. You the man, brother. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. So going back to answer John's question, I mean, yeah, JR, dude, that's just the running price, man. It is what it is. It is what it is. Ben Arnold's in the house. Ben says when they start clicking in preseason games through regular season games, they're going to be real fast. Ben, I'm telling you, I saw the speed. We saw him. Big Low still in the chat. Dude, the speed is real. Offensively and more importantly, defensively. These cats are different. And these aren't little sticks with speed. These are some guys, big guys that seem like they get into that ball. I'm really excited about what they're going to do this year, and I'm telling you. Miss Pamela says, I believe Arthur Smith will come through with the new additions for the offense. I hope he does, Miss Pamela. He better. He better. Rusty says, Giants way overpaid for DJ. No other team was going to come close to paying what New York did. Here's the problem, Rusty. This is what I'm not disagreeing with your theory and John's theory. Here's the problem. It's not 2016, 17, 18 anymore. The bottom range of quarterbacks that get that second contract are gonna be $35 to $40 million. I don't care what y'all think about it. I don't care that y'all say it's overpriced. We were talking about Matt Ryan being overpriced at $20 million back in 2012. We were talking about Matt Ryan being overpriced at $30 plus million in 2018. The price will go up. That's the most important position on the field. And when you have that position, folks, you got to pay. And I'm not saying, by no means am I telling anybody Daniel Jones is worth it. But I'm saying if Desmond shows out this year and then connects another year to it, let's say advances to NFC Championship or something like that, oh, they got to pay. And remember, he's in the same situation as Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts wasn't a first-round pick, so they had to do that this year. Philly either did it this year or Jalen was like, okay, oh, we're not going to sign anything? No problem. Highest bidder out there on the market. So, yeah, we'll figure that out, man. I'm trying to tell y'all. Seriously. Wallace says it doesn't matter how the quarterback moves up and down the field, whether it's short passes, long passes, score touchdown. Bingo. Bingo. Scooter tells Big Low, I saw your live practice breakdown. Yeah, that I'm gonna tell y'all too, for real. If y'all get a chance, go check that out, man. Scooter, that was some good stuff, man. His breakdown there. We could have used less of him in the screen, but his breakdown was was awesome. I know he gonna dog me for that. So, oh man. Have an awesome live stream, and the Braves about to start, so I got to get tuned in to my Braves. Much love to you too, brother. Listen, everybody, I'm getting ready to actually break out myself and take off. I do want a reminder for coming in. Thank my brother Big Low Country for that super chat, and thanks for jumping in on the stream with me today. At 8 o'clock, go check out my buddy Smitty and Smitty Sports Machine. He'll be there with 95 North Sports Talk, Berto. And I think they're going to join Tidy today and talking about Mike Vick and what do you think about his chances of going into the Ring of Honor sometime in the future. They're going to be talking about that at 8 p.m. tonight. So if you get a chance, please go check them out later on. This is your Unc. If you love what you're seeing, y'all, please put a like on the video. It'll help us out. Thanks so much. The subscribers have been moving in. I appreciate everyone. Thank you for the chat, man. Again, this is just fan talk. Fan talk that look, by the time we get to the season, y'all, this thing gonna be off the chain. And I just appreciate y'all patronage. Appreciate everyone coming in here and joining us. Just good fun. Good, there's things y'all can just come over and chop it up with your Unc, man. I appreciate it. Can't wait for this training camp to start, preseason. Let's get this bad boy started. Thank y'all again. We'll catch y'all later on. Peace. Have a great week, y'all.